Well, hello there, Space Monkeys. Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and we are going to do another Pure Power Rankings episode. Last time we did a Pure Power Rankings episode with the top five was like my first week of doing PFC, so like 11 months ago. So there's no special motif or theme for this. It's just going to be the people I think are kicking ass the most. And as you guys will see, my top five has changed quite a bit. Now, there's still a couple of common ones in there that I've ranked and re-ranked and that have always maintained in my top 10 or top five. But there's a lot of ones in there where, partially because I've changed and evolved over the last year, but also because they kind of fell off and their content has really gone south, they are no longer ranked and never will be again. In that first power rankings, I ranked Kyle Kalinske number one. It's one of those takes where, like, I think about it whenever it like pops into my head that was a take that I had back in the day. It makes me go, God, why did I do that? Why? Oh man, if I could take it back, I would. But it's already out there. So, but if you guys know, I was talking about those first 4 or 5, and I was referring to them as like the Avengers, and he was like the Hulk. I think I called him the Hulk. I've been going Hulkbuster on his ass. Go to sleep. 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 Every week for like this entire fucking year, and I failed. I never was actually able to make him go to sleep or turn him to the rebellion. So he will never be ranked again. There are still some mainstays on this list who have been ranked periodically throughout the year who have been consistently doing good stuff. So let's start with the number 5, and we'll work our way up. And this is a perennial slugger. I've ranked her many times, is Sabrina Salvati, Sabby Sabs. Her channel is wonderful and has never really dipped. She just continues to grow. Numbers don't lie. She recently had an episode interviewing Aaron Mate, which I watched live. That was fantastic. And she does very similar stuff to me, where she does not hold back. She will go out there and absolutely lay out bread tubers. I mean, playing clips and dismantling them and just putting them down. I love that. That's needed. She's doing the same thing I like to do, which is just keeping the left in line and making sure that we focus on the people that are taking too much money for giving out the CIA opinions, these bread tubers who are basically trying to infiltrate this mass movement of lefty activists online. So that's important. So Sabby Sabs has been on a hot streak, but she really has never been off a hot streak. She's just been kicking ass the entire time. So she's number 5. Number 4 is the GrayZone, and I'm going to specifically name Ben Norton here. And I have another one of the GrayZone boys even ranked higher later on. But specifically, Ben Norton has been doing a great job lately, and the GrayZone has been putting up great content, breaking down the Chilean elections. Is Russia going to go to war with Ukraine? As far as foreign policy goes, you can't get any better than the GrayZone. So that's Aaron Mate, Anya Parampil, Max Blumenthal, Ben Norton, among others. And then Kit Clarenberg wrote an article for them for exposing bread tubers as well earlier this week, which was an absolute bombshell. We'll get back to that later. Number 4 is the GrayZone, and Ben Norton has been doing specifically an awesome job lately. So number 3 is the Titan, Jimmy Dore, the nuclear reactor. He has been absolutely on fire almost the entire year. He only stumbled briefly about a month ago, but over the last 3 days, guys, again, 1,000 a day new subs. He's the only lefty YouTuber who consistently can break the algorithm and get really hot. And lately, what has helped him was the RFK Jr. interview was spectacular. That was one of the best episodes, and it very, very revealing about Anthony Fauci, and I highly recommend, if you can find it, try to get RFK Jr.'s book. And I really liked not just that episode, but RFK Jr. himself. His ideas are very much aligned with what I agree with in terms of like how we need to go about the pandemic, but also he talks about how we need to gain momentum and build a left movement by doing civil disobediences individually and making it like a fad, like I want to do it. Like I want it to be a trend, or I want it to be like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge for people to fuck with their politicians and go out there and fuck with the system and do civil disobedience. Even if they aren't the type that are really into politics, you can still mess with the system. And I loved his ideas talking about going out there and doing 3 civil disobediences a day. It's a fascinating interview, fascinating episode, and Jimmy's been more or less just draining threes over everybody all season long. So Jimmy's number 3. He's been ranked number 1 and number 2 for a while, so this is actually kind of him falling off a little bit. Number 2 and number 1 are like 1A and 1B. I can't decide who's number 1, who's number 2, so I'm just going to name them back to back. We'll just start with Katie Halper. Katie Halper, not only on her own channel, where she recently interviewed Nils Meltzer about Julian Assange. That was a fascinating interview and a really, really great episode. She also had covered the Chilean elections and really shed some light for somebody like me who doesn't know much about the new, lefty that took office as the president of Chile, as not being as lefty as he seems. I didn't know that. So, I mean, that was a great episode. She's actually done a couple, I think, on the Chilean elections. But also, and this is the most important thing that I think she did, was I have no doubt that she orchestrated, if not completely set up, the Julian Assange live stream with all of those other big YouTubers like Kalinsky and Breaking Points herself. She helped the INN, my network, by promoting our student loan boycott summit. She retweeted that and helped us out with that. And then like a week later, suddenly they're doing something similar where they're co-streaming on all these big-ass channels. I have no doubt that she had a lot to do with that. It was excellent, and I don't think you quite understand exactly how monumental that is. That's showing that, like, we're breaking the game and rewriting the rules in a way where now, like, we can get all of these channels, big channels, to co-stream and really put up some massive numbers for things like Julian Assange if we want to. We just have to band together. And I have no doubt that Katie helped orchestrate that, if not put it together entirely herself. Like, that was all her going in there and asking them, guys, can we all get together and do this co-streaming event for Julian? Great job, Katie Halper. I can't give her enough praise. And then the second number 1 is Max Blumenthal and Foreign Agents. Like I said, another GrayZone boy. But he has had, on Foreign Agents, he had a recent episode where he interviewed some of the doctors, the epidemiologists from the Great Barrington Declaration, and had them respond to some of the criticisms and the smear attacks that have been going on against them. That was an excellent episode, but he's also been on a bunch of other shows talking about COVID, lockdowns, mandates, and just throwing data left and right. He's really duking it out there, and he's taking some shit. A lot of these people are getting attacked like crazy, but in the end, trust me, guys, when the pandemic is done, or not done, but when we're past where we are now, 3, 4, 5 years in the future, all the people that were talking about locking down due to Omicron, or that we need to do vaccine mandates, they are all going to look very, very silly. History will not remember these people well. Even people like Kalinsky, who have been for a soft mandate, they're either going to have to apologize, or they're going to be remembered as idiots forever, and they should be. Max will not be one of those people. Max will be like some of these other people like me, Jimmy, among others, that went out there and pointed out every step of the way how these people are fools and how they're carrying water for the establishment and running with narratives that are not backed in science. So Max has been absolutely just windmill dunking on the establishment lately. And then I mentioned earlier Kit Clarenberg's article about BreadTube. Max wrote that as well. That's a super long, super detailed article on how certain BreadTubers in the UK are basically being used as a vehicle for anti-lockdown and anti-vaccine mandate propaganda, basically used as weapons to go out against people like me, the GrayZone, Jimmy Dore, anybody who's skeptical of the mandates. They are literally weaponizing and propagandizing and paying for these BreadTubers to go out and attack us. That is a wonderful article. It's what we always suspected, but they brought receipts, and we now know kind of how this is going. And like Max says in that article, it's just scratching the surface. We're going to find out a lot more over the next couple of years, and I hope the GrayZone keeps doing this, exposing these people who I always suspected, because their narratives always change, or I mean, they're hypocrites. Their narratives always seem to kind of shift towards the pro-establishment narrative, that they are being or have been co-opted by like the deep state and very powerful, wealthy interests. Now, I've never been able to prove it. I just kind of go out there and, I know, because I watched them for years, I know what like David Dole and Kalinsky and Figueiredo used to say compared to what they say now. Also, I've evolved to become a little bit more, I don't want to say left, but I've evolved past the Democratic Party, and it's really made me sad to see these people who I thought really wanted what's best for poor people and for the left stay with the Democratic Party, which means that their interests are not really with the people. It's with, what their careers, or with the Democratic Party themselves, or just the squad. But whatever, those people are not doing what's best for the movement. So I think I evolved past them a little bit. And if they don't get out of the Democratic Party, they just become more and more co-opted by it. The more money they make, the more capitalist they become. And now we're starting to see how the system co-opts these different large YouTube and podcast channels. So that was an excellent article. Max Blumenthal and Katie Halper are tied at number 1, just 1A and 1B. They're unbelievably just hot. They're on a hot streak right now, beyond anything I've ever seen. So good job, guys. Top 5 is Sabby, the GrayZone, Jimmy Dore, Katie Halper, Max Blumenthal. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm backing off a little bit off of YouTube and absorbing so much news here in the near future, but I might still jump on for some Power Rankings episodes. I'll always be watching. I'm like Santa Claus that way, except for I won't, come down your chimney and eat all your cookies. Unless, of course, I'm going to Vosh's house, but then I don't have to go down the chimney. I can just knock on the door, say hello to his mom again, and go in and eat all his shit. Might do that too. Anyway, keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I love you. Talk to you later.